Colleagues, I welcome you to today's sitting.
On Tuesday, 4th February 2025, the Attorney General, Honorable Kiryowa Kiwanuka, told Parliament that government started implementing the recent Supreme Court orders on trial of civilians in the General Court Martial.
The Uganda Prisons Authorities are advised to await the process above and orders of competent courts regarding any matters concerning detention of accused persons hitherto facing trial in the military courts. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, I have also written to the Honourable the Chief Justice, advising him that we have commenced the implementation of the court orders and sought for advice on the person with whom the DPP should liaise for purposes of effecting these orders.
The Attorney General knows very well that a person can only be held in prison on a valid warrant. The order of court, which literally dismantled the orders of the defunct court-martial, caused the warrants upon which these people were remanded to expire.
The insinuation in the remarks of the Attorney General is that court-martial keep holding on to these people until the DPP determines whether or not to take over this matter. I think that that's ultra-vires. Because for all of these people who are being held, Dr. Kizza Besigye, Obed Lutale, NUP political prisoners that have been held for over 4 years now, the Supreme Court said all those matters under the court-martial should cease with immediacy.
The issue of the position of the inmates now, all the inmates who are under the trial in the General Court-Martial, all their matters are now under the jurisdiction of the courts of judicature.
I asked the Attorney General to give us an update. This is a matter which has been settled by court. We cannot reopen it here. We just needed an update on how far he has reached in as far as implementing the court order is concerned.
During the sitting, the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Norbert Mao, was tasked to update Parliament on the process of updating the National Voters Register.
The kits available to EC were insufficient, making it difficult for the EC to have full-time kits at every parish or ward, and therefore the committee also finds that the insufficient numbers of kits deployed for voter verification has affected the ability of the EC to carry out the voter verification exercise. In light of the above, the committee recommends that the EC should consider extending the deadline for the voter verification exercise in light of the challenges faced in the process.
The voter education exercise has not been adequate because LC1 chairpersons who are part and parcel of this process, many of them are just getting to know now. So the Electoral Commission is conceding that there have been challenges, and that's why we are saying it should consider extending, because it is their duty. They are the ones that came up with this roadmap. They are the ones that can extend.
Article 62 of the Constitution, independence of the Commission. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the Commission shall be independent and shall, in the performance of its functions, not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. The recommendations we are making here, we are telling the Electoral Commission, go adjust boundaries, extend the deadline, do what? It's in contravention of Article 62, Chair. Let us take advantage of the goodwill that Parliament has shown the Electoral Commission. We send them this report, and we shall, at an appropriate time, Minister of Justice will update us.
In the sitting, a report of the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry urged Uganda Wildlife Authority to prioritize the payment of outstanding claims for victims of human-wildlife conflict.
Whereas the committee noted that the Uganda Wildlife Compensation Scheme Regulations 2022 prescribes under Clause 18 that in case of death, the victims shall be compensated to an amount not exceeding 20 million. The committee observed that there were disproportionate payment to beneficiaries for loss of life on account of human life conflict. The committee recommends that UWA fully complies with Section 83 of the Uganda Wildlife Act on the transfer of the 2% to the compensation scheme fund account of the money collected by the authority for the services it offers. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommends for standardization and minimizing abuse of the fund, the Minister responsible for wildlife amends the regulations to provide for a 10% for the maximum compensation payable as financial support for burial arrangements in case of loss of life, which will be deducted once compensation is made.
The provision in the schedule of the animals for which compensation can be given. Right Honorable Speaker, it's a committee recommendation that we provide for monkeys, squirrels, snakes. This could be a bit difficult because then it becomes a bigger problem. I think the intention when members were passing this law in 2019 was that we mainly focus on the animals that we have in the protected areas.
On Wednesday, 5th February 2025, the Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline made strict proposals for the dress code of members of Parliament.
The Gazette provides a detailed description of these uniforms and specifies that combat uniforms are intended for UPDF operations. However, the committee has observed instances where certain members representing the armed forces have worn combat uniforms while attending parliamentary proceedings. The committee finds this inappropriate since such attires carry the connotation of a battlefield. The committee therefore discourages the practice of wearing combat uniform during parliamentary proceedings.
Parliament is a forum for free thought and speech, yet military uniforms have a psychological effect and hinders the wearer from exercising independent judgment due to the command and control doctrine associated with the military. I therefore propose that we delete the army attire from the dress code.
Rule 82 on dress code for male members should be amended. A pair of long trousers with a jacket, kanzu and a jacket, safari suit, and decent traditional wear should be removed from the rules. The only acceptable dress code for members should be a suit, shirt, and a tie.
I differ from them and say kanzu should be sustained, kanzu and jacket, and I also propose that a hijab should be introduced.
In the sitting, Parliament passed a motion that, if approved, will see funds reallocated to ministries from agencies affected by the rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure, RAPEX.
These affected agencies have resulted into the need to move resources from where they were previously appropriated to now the new entities which will receive them together with the functions they have been performing with the staff.
The committee observed that motion for reallocation of funds was accompanied by revised work plans of the affected agencies. However, no revised annual procurement plans, revised annual recruitment plans, revised cash flow projections, and revised assets register for both the receiving institutions and transferring institutions were presented to Parliament as part of the motion. Right Honourable Speaker, without this information, effective implementation of the budget for the affected institutions may be constrained, since the Secretary to Treasury and Accountant General can only release funds based on the annual cash flow plan of government, which is based on procurement plans, work plans, recruitment plans approved by Parliament as per Section 15 of PFM Act 2025.
The committee cannot capture everything that has happened when we are meeting these entities. They are all suffering. As I said, there are entities that are supposed to be correcting money, they can't correct because they emerged them public services yet to approve the new structure. Yet they brought a budget here to say it will be financed by money including NTR. So this total chaos by the implementers of rationalization should not be tolerated by Parliament, because they will come here persuading you that there is a crisis.
Your honorable colleagues, I put the question that the motion to authorize the government to reallocate budgets for the financial 2024-2025 and revise work plans for institutions affected under the rationalization of government agencies and public expenditures, RAPEX reform, be adopted. Those in favor say aye. To the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
On Thursday, 6th February 2025, the House approved a supplementary budget over 1.2 trillion shillings to facilitate the transfer of funds from rationalized government agencies to the receiving institutions.
His Excellency the President assented to an additional 9 bills following parliamentary approval to ensure uninterrupted service delivery as we implement the transition process. There is a need to transfer or reallocate the prospective budgets of the affected institutions to enable the receiving institutions take on the rationalized functions.
I would like to confirm to the colleagues, there is no figure which is above the earlier approved budget. What we are talking about, 1 billion and 36 million, it's a wage which was 323. And the non-wage is 713.
Honorable colleagues, I now put the question that a total sum of Uganda shillings 1,243,189,986,000 be provided for as the total supplementary current and development for financial year 2024-2025. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
In the sitting, the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Norbert Mao, urged the public not to be misled that the recent Supreme Court ruling was an order for the release of civilians being tried under the General Court Martial.
Mr. Speaker, it is erroneous for anybody to think that what the Supreme Court said was a release order. The court does not say, I have freed, because the case hasn't been heard. They are only saying, bring it before the proper court so that we hear the case. So we should not misguide the population, Mr. Speaker, by exciting them that now it is a release order.
Minister,
I would like the lawyers for Dr. Besigye to do their job. None of us is in office to fight the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court does something and says that these laws are colliding, we do what I've called will alignment. The government has a duty to respect the decision of the court. If the linesman raises the flag, it's the duty of the referee to blow the whistle to acknowledge. We stand by the Constitution, which says whenever there's a dispute about the interpretation of any law, the courts have the final word.
Also in the sitting, Honorable Norbert Mao revealed that the Electoral Commission may review the deadline for the update of the National Voters Register from 10th February 2025 if the exercise is not completed.
In my conversation with the Electoral Commission chairman, I raised the question of the possibility of extending the deadline for the update. The chairman told me that should the 10th February arrive when the exercise has not been completed, the Electoral Commission will announce measures for redress. For now, 10th February remains the deadline. When the chairman and the members of the Electoral Commission conclude their field visit tomorrow, they will address the nation and announce important decisions that will deal with the issues of concern in the ongoing exercise.
I would implore you that after they've updated the country, it would be very important for you to come back, you update Parliament, so that we can add value in terms of the whole, how the whole of this process is concerned. So next week, I'll be in touch with you to give you space. House adjourned to Tuesday at 2 p.m.